we go. So how are you guys doing today? I was on a few times yesterday talking about some different things, but today I want to talk to you about feeling yourself be awakened, right? So we call it the awakening. We're starting to feel a shift within ourselves. You know, what is that? And what does it feel like? And what are you supposed to do with it? And what are the different things that it can actually cause for you, right? So it's what are the different things that it can actually cause for you? That's what we want to talk about today. So people say that they want to become spiritual, that they want to get in touch with their spiritual sides more. And I love that people are saying that more and more and more. Because we are. I mean, this is not something that you have to become. You already are. And, you know, it's just like when you think about nature and people say, you know, I want to get in touch with nature. And the fact is, you are part of nature, right? So you are part of nature and you are spiritual. So just giving you a heads up on that. I'm also doing this on Facebook Live. So Fran, since you're watching, if there's any music playing in the background today, let me know. I don't know what happened yesterday. So if you do hear any music, let me know. There should be no music playing. Okay. So the awakening is a very natural process because we are spiritual people already. But it feels different because when you feel this awakening, when you feel something shift in you, it almost feels unnatural. Like it feels like something's happened and you're like, why do I feel different? Why is this sense working a little bit overtime? You know, why can I, hear things more or know things more or say things, that I wasn't planning to say, or that's how mine started. So maybe that's the best way to describe this. So when things started happening to me, they kind of just showed up and I didn't know what it was at first. And I thought like, am I losing my mind? Like, what is happening? So it can feel a little bit like that, right? And I remember getting like thoughts in my head that were not my thoughts. I know that they weren't my thoughts. And I thought, am I going schizophrenic? Like, what is happening to me? So I could hear thoughts that were not my thoughts. And when I didn't really pay attention to them and thought they were something more than what they were or less than what they were, good morning. That's awesome. Kumi's experiencing a major shift lately, and that's amazing. And so I remember a specific day in general, and that was I was talking to a client and they were sitting in front of me and I had this plan. Good morning, Nicola. I had this plan to say something to them. I had an outline of what we were going to be doing that day. And I opened my mouth to tell them the plan of the day and something completely different came out. And it was a whole different plan. Something that I hadn't even planned, right? And the weird thing was the procedure was something that I had never done with anyone before. So I was just like trying to look calm in front of my client and like I had this all like it was fine. And, that's what I'd planned. I changed my mind. But in my mind, I'm like, what the F is going on here? And what am I supposed to do with this? And why am I saying things I didn't mean to say? So that was kind of interesting, but I decided to go with it and see what would happen. And that session actually turned out to be a very profound and powerful session. After my client left, I was sitting there in my clinic going, what just happened? Like, did that just happen? Did that whole thing just happen? And I've had so many moments like that. And I think at first, and I can only speak for myself, but I think at first, when you get a new sense, when something starts to shift in you, when things show up for you, when a new gift arrives, it makes itself pretty evident, because now that I'm listening, I can hear or sense the thoughts, and they don't just take over, because I'm listening and I go with it. Whereas before, I would hear it or sense the thought, and I would be like, I don't know what to do. Like, is this really happening? So it would push its way in pretty much. Like, it would just be like, this is what I want, or it would be pretty loud. So this can cause issues with people and struggles, because if they aren't aware of it, if they don't have some self-awareness like I did, and it still freaks me out, then it could cause depression. It can cause anxiety. It can cause trauma. So it's just about being aware and understanding that the biggest piece to understand is that there is so much more to us than what you see. And I know I say that a lot, but it is so true. And we are like this 99.9% and more than that, energy. And we pay attention to this 0.01%, and we're all wrapped up in this little piece of us. And when there's so much more going on, and then when that 99.9% wants to get heard, we get a little freaked out. So it's about understanding that it is still part of us. We are part of something way, way bigger. So and this world is changing. We've created a world. I mean, I'm just going to go on a sort of, I'm just going to lay it out pretty basic here, and again, it's my opinion and my thoughts. Good morning, Linda and Danica. It's, there's a lot of hate. We still have racism, which amazes me. We are in 2020 and there is still racism, and that is ridiculous. And there's hate, and there's destruction, and we hurt the planet so badly, and this planet is actually taking action towards us now. And now there's fires, and we're hurting our ecosystem, and we are hurting our oxygen because of all the fires, and we are hurting our atmosphere. There's all this stuff that we're doing, and energy's like, hey, you know what? I gave you guys life. I gave you guys a home. I gave you guys all this stuff. And what the F? Like, what are you doing? And fortunately, there's enough of us that, and there's more and more and more people. Like, it's amazing. People that I never would have thought would have spoken about spirituality and energy are now talking about it. And that's amazing. And, it's just about this. People are understanding that there's something happening. People are understanding that we are reaching a point of no return. And if we don't smarten up, then, all this money that we want to have, and all these big houses, and all these big dreams that we're going to aspire to have in this lifetime, there's going to be nowhere to have it. So, we need to smarten up. So, it's just really paying attention to that. So we're getting to the point of, why am I here? What is my purpose? So there's people out there, women who are the Shakti energy, and then the men who are the Shiva. And the female energy, we reproduce. It's part of our job is to reproduce. Part of our being is about reproduction. And the men is about triggering that. So women are more open to their spirituality than men are. That's just natural. But having children, and I don't want to belittle it, because it is huge. To have children and to reproduce and to raise a family it's a miracle. That's amazing. But when I tell you that that is just something that we are supposed to do, what I mean by that is there is another purpose for you. There is more to you than reproduction. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a lesson. Everyone has something they're supposed to be doing. And part of that awakening is to understand what that is. Besides being an awesome mom, besides that, what else are you supposed to be doing? What else are you supposed to be putting out there into this world? How are you supposed to be making an impact on humanity? So part of this awakening is awakening that side of you that's starting to say, hey, I'm here. I'm here to support you in your purpose. I'm here to say, here we go. And the interesting thing about the awakening also is that you don't get it all unloaded on you at once. So when as I started recognizing one thing and letting it integrate into my life and recognizing the next sense that was opening up. So now it was claircognizance at first. I was getting thoughts put into my head that were not my own. Then I started hearing things. And when I say hearing things, it wasn't loud, but it was definitely a whisper, but it was a whisper with no sound. Although other people, I mean, I was at a workshop this weekend and some people actually hear sound, right? They actually hear a booming voice. So that's also different. I hear a whisper and they hear a booming voice. So it's about accepting how that's going to come in for you. Some people start to see things, clairvoyance. Some people start to feel things. Your clairsentience comes in, right? There's even a sense for, your taste and your smell. And you might actually start to feel energies around you. If you're an empath, 20% of our population are empathic and they don't even know it. So if you're an empath, then maybe, your spidey senses are just going off like mad. And instead of learning how to handle this, and instead of learning how to integrate it into your life, many people are getting freaked out and they are starting to go into depression and anxiety about it, thinking that there's something wrong with them. And there is nothing wrong with you, right? There is nothing wrong with you. You are connecting to that bigger side of you. You are starting to step onto the other side of the mirror. Okay, that's how I like to say it. You've stepped into the other side of the mirror, which is a huge part of who you are. Without it, you wouldn't exist. You would just be gone, right? So, we need to acknowledge that there is something out there that is bigger than us, much bigger than us, and the biggest part of us. And if it didn't exist, nothing would exist. Okay. So just like we have parents, I would think about it like it's your dad, it's your mom. It's like this bigger energy out there that does exist and did give birth to us, right? So we, now it's trying to talk to us. It's trying to give us some guidance and say, hey, now I need you to do the things you were born to do. So that's really kind of what's happening to you. And also, people start to question their identity, right? They start to question their identity. Good morning, Tamra. Fran is saying, I've had a bit of that lately. Simple things being there that I wanted and I needed. Yes, synchronicity, right? That is huge. So synchronicity, we call it coincidence. There is no coincidences, right? There's only synchronicity. And for those of you listening on the podcast, feel free to type in your messages. So there's this amazing synchronicity that it's there. Don't just look at it and walk away and go, oh, that's strange, and then keep on going. Or I was just thinking about that and keep on going, and it just showed up for me. Why did it show up for you? What is it that you need to know about that? Start questioning, right? What am I supposed to do with this? Why did this show up for me? How does this come into, my purpose? Is this a message for me? So start actually questioning those things. Because that is something that you need. That is a big part. Our brains are set up to give us solutions. So if we ask questions, we will get solutions. If we ask questions, we will get answers. So the problem is most of us always ask very disempowering questions of ourselves. Why me? What is wrong with me? We ask stuff like that, and you're going to get disempowering answers. So it's about asking empowering questions and trying to find the solutions, because we are wired to find solutions. Okay. Our guidance, what I was trying to say earlier, is our guidance or that awakening comes in with gaps in between. You don't get it all at once. So you'll get one thing or two things, and then something else opens up for you. And then maybe 6 months later, something else will open up for you. Everybody's time is different. Those gaps are different for everyone. I get a lot of stuff in my dreams, huge things in my dreams. I actually get full on like a video playing of a healing that it wants me to do, right? That energy wants me to do. So I will get it from beginning to end. And I wake up going, wow, that was like the most powerful thing I've ever seen. And now I have to do that, right? So, and sometimes it's stuff that's like right out of my comfort zone, but I'm like, I'm getting this for a reason. It's so lucid and so clear that I know that it's a message. It's not one of those dreams that fade. I wake up, it's clear, it's 3 days later, I still know everything that happened. So it's about understanding, seeing if things are coming to you in dreams, right? So understanding those things and paying attention to those things. Okay. Someone's asking me, can I get a chance to talk here? Just give me 1 second there, Encore. I'm just going through what I'd like to discuss, and I'm going to take some questions in a moment. So if you're getting that initial awakening, if you're getting that initial feeling like something is different, the other thing is about understanding that this can also cause you to question your identity, who you were. If you know that you're this now, then who were you? And, a lot of times too, my awakenings started showing up after the age of 40. So once my life started changing and I was on my path and doing what I was supposed to be doing, there was this moment where I was like, I just wasted all this time in my life and made all these huge mistakes. And I did all this stuff. And if I'd known all this stuff back then, I could have been helping people sooner. And I could have been, so there was that was going on, where I was happy, but almost remorseful that it hadn't shown up sooner. And I was kind of upset about it, right? Because I thought about where my life had gone back then. And, I could have spared myself all of those things. But then I think about it and go, I was supposed to have all those things were supposed to happen to me so that I could do what I'm doing now, right? It was part of the process, part of the procedure. It showed up for a reason. Everything shows up for a reason, not just your opportunities, synchronistic opportunities, but also the synchronistic obstacles, right? Obstacles show up for you also for a reason, right? They're not just meant to be there to cause you grief. So you have to start questioning it and being like, okay, this showed up for me. What am I supposed to be learning from this? Why did this show up for me now? What am I not seeing? Why is this clearly going to be here to show me something and I'm not seeing something. So what is it? So starting to pay attention to that and questioning yourself, how, what, where, ask those questions. And then once we start to understand that stuff, we start to get a desire for more. We get hungry, right? So I got like super spiritual hungry, and I would come home from work before I started my clinic when I was working in my past job, and I would come home from work and there was books everywhere in my house. Like I would just sit down and start making notes and studying and researching and learning. And every question I had led to another 15 questions. And every answer I got just made me ask more questions. And I was getting frustrated too, because there was so much I wanted to know. And there was no way for me to get all this information into my head. And it wasn't coming in fast enough. So there was this desire for more, this desire to say, oh my God, I can do this. This is amazing. And I want more of this. So, I would sit there at night and meditate and go, bring it on, like just bring it to me. And I would just want more. So there is that desire. So the growth can be challenging. The struggle can be challenging. Understanding it all and integrating it into your life, because now it's going to make a change in your life. In a lot of cases, it will create change. And that change also can cause grief, because grief causes, any kind of change in our lives brings on grief. Grief is not only about when someone passes away or transitions. Grief is also about change. So, grief of the old way, releasing that old way of being and coming into this new way of being, almost as if you've been reborn, rebirthed. And it's, what do I do with all of these pieces of my life now? How do I put them together and make it all run smoothly? Because my life is no longer the mundane, the ordinary. I've come into this other way of being. And that can be scary, because at the same time, people are like, but I don't want to be isolated. People are going to think I'm weird. People are going to think there's something wrong with me. They're going to think I'm crazy. I can't tell anybody what I'm experiencing. They're going to think I'm nuts, right? So, there's that, right? So there's all these pieces that come into play. And I will tell you that you are not alone in this. And the people that you are probably most afraid they're going to think that you're crazy may also be experiencing the same thing and having the same thoughts. Okay, so just letting you know that, you can kind of test the waters with people, and you might be surprised what you find out. Okay. So this awakening it's a dawning. It's the dawn from the darkness. When we first wake up, it's dark at night when we sleep, and the first thing before the light is that dawn. And we are in the dawn. The planet is dawning. And a lot more people are awakening. And this is becoming planet-wide. So it's great. And it reminds me of that story of the 100 monkey syndrome. This 100 monkey syndrome, where the scientists are on this island and they're looking at the culture and the of these monkeys, these rare monkeys. And the monkeys have these sweet potatoes that they're eating. And the sweet potatoes, they don't want to eat them because they're dirty. So they spend a lot of time trying to get the dirt off them, because they want the sweet potato, but they don't want the dirt. And all of a sudden, some of the younger monkeys decide to wash. They learn to wash the potato. And then another monkey does it, and another monkey does it. And then, now 20 are doing it, and 40 are doing it, and 60 are doing it. And we get to this 99th monkey. And, some of them are still doing it and some of them are not. And all of a sudden, the 100th monkey does it. And now all the monkeys are doing it. That change in that species is fed up into a collective consciousness, and the change is now monkey-wide. So all the monkeys of that species from that island and all the islands start washing their sweet potatoes, because now it becomes their way of being. So I think we're getting to a point at some point where it's going to be like that 100th monkey syndrome, where so many of us are going to awaken, and so many of us are going to recognize it and start integrating into our lives, that it is going to change humanity as a whole. It's going to tip the scales, right? And everything is going to shift. And, I hope it happens soon, but that's what's going to happen. And, we've heard about the shift. We've heard people talking about the shift. And I feel like that's going to be the shift, where all of a sudden humanity is going to be different. We're going to behave differently. We're going to be more awakened. We are going to understand ourselves so much more. So understanding that trees, when you think about a tree, I've got a lot of these pictures of trees behind me right now. So trees come from seeds, right? They're birthed from seeds. That whole tree is in a seed. And that seed came from another tree, which came from a seed, which came from the universe, right? All of us have this amazing energy inside us, including the tree and the seed. Okay. So, our tree is growing. Our tree is growing. So celebrate it. Don't be freaked out by it. Pay attention, ask questions, allow it to become bring it into your world. Don't be afraid of it. There's nothing to be afraid of. So right now, I'm just going to give a few moments here. If anybody has any questions, I want to hear. So if there's any questions that you have, or something that you want to share about any experience that you're having, or something that you want to say, just to share. I'm just going to give a few moments for that. But just allowing yourself to reflect and introspect and say, hey, you know what? I'm actually bigger than I think I am. I matter more than I thought I did. Right? And all of us matter. All of us matter. All of us have some kind of a wonderful path and purpose in this world. And none, universe doesn't make mistakes. There are no mistakes, right? There's no such thing. So even if you're living the most challenging life ever, sit back and ask yourself, what are you supposed to learn from it? Because the most challenging lives bring about the most profound lessons. And that makes you so strong. So just thinking of it in a different way, right? All the positive resources that it takes for you to be able to persevere every day. Start to see the light in you. Start to let the dawn come in and see the wonderful light in yourselves. So I don't know if Encore is still here. He was wanting to ask a question. And if you're still there, just let me know. But yeah, so that's my message for you this morning. My part in this life, I've discovered what my purpose is. And my purpose, part of my biggest purpose is to lead and to be a catalyst. Right now, I'm in the catalyst zone. Right now, I'm teaching people how to get from one place to another. I'm helping people move into their dawn, into a better place, a better way of being. That's my purpose. That's what I do. And that's what I love to do. And that's why I come on here all the time talking about different things, because part of it is to get people to be aware, to awaken, to understand that the weirdness that they think they're feeling is not so weird. It's actually the most natural thing ever. Okay. So enjoy your lives. Enjoy your day. Don't forget to share some wonderful, long chakra to chakra hugs today. A beautiful tantric hug. And just sort of come in close and hug each other for at least 6 seconds. Okay. Don't shortchange yourself in connection with people. Okay. Hugging for at least 6 seconds releases oxytocin in your body, which is a wonderful feel-good chemical. Allow yourself to feel it. Allow the other person to feel that. And give yourself several of those hugs a day. Just hug people. We've become so fast in our technological world that we have forgotten to connect with each other. And it is so imperative that we do that. It is so important that we connect with one another. The children of today spend a lot of time indoors and on video games, and they are not connected. And a lot of my clients come in and they are upset with their children because now they have to go into the working world and they don't know how to socialize. And I think about when I grew up and we played outside every day. We played hockey, we played hide and seek. Our parents couldn't bring us in. My mom would scream out the door forever to get me into the house. We played. Our street was full of children, and now for some reason we have this amazing, there was predators out then too, but we can't stop living because we are fearful, because we are condemning ourselves from experiencing things. So when we say things that doesn't work for me, I don't like that. No, don't do that. Right. Learning things. No, that won't work for me. The minute we condemn something that we have never tried, the minute that we condemn something that we have never tried, we are closing ourselves off to the opportunities to learning. So if you've been wondering about something or wanting to know about something and been holding yourself back for one reason or another, it's a good time to maybe step into that, to step into your comfort, into your discomfort. Just step into it and see what it has to offer you. So have a fantastic day, everyone. I will talk to you so soon. I'll see you tomorrow morning. And I love you all. Don't forget to hug somebody today. Hug yourself. Have a great day. Bye.